Welcome, my friends, to Tijuana, the border city, in fact, the furthest north city in all of Mexico, bordering San Diego and the state of California. We are here in the Mexican state of Baja California, exploring the city of Tijuana. If I seem a little bit preoccupied at the moment, it's for two reasons. Number one, I have not yet had breakfast, and I need a strong coffee to wake me up. And number two is, and I say this with all respect to people from Tijuana, you guys live in a crazy city. I did a little bit of research trying to find myself a nice hotel in a safe area, and I picked this place that I'm staying at. But immediately outside, there's people who, I don't want to say that they're doing criminal activity, but there's just people who are like pacing back and forth all day, giving kind of weird vibes. I've heard a lot of police sirens so far. But we're going to show you more than that in today's video. And hopefully we'll show you more than that. The first thing I want to show you is my breakfast. Buenos días. Para no, sí. Buenos días. This is a fancy restaurant. I was just looking for somewhere to have a simple breakfast. Already they're bringing me out 3 rows of cutlery. Look at this. I guess the name Plata de Oro does mean plate of gold. Hopefully it won't cost me gold to pay for this meal. We'll soon find out. Here it is, my friends. Chilaquiles has arrived. I got chilaquiles con rojo. That means the red sauce. Got some nice scrambled eggs. A little bit of avocado, that's new. I haven't seen that with my other chilaquiles across Mexico, but every restaurant has their own way of doing it. Refried beans, coffee, hot sauce, bread. Now this is breakfast, my friends. Oh, look at that steam coming off of it. This will be so good. By the way, you probably noticed I'm wearing a sweater and a coat. That was the first big surprise about Tijuana when I arrived. You know, I was thinking, okay, it's in the desert, it's in Mexico, it's gonna be warm. It's actually went down to about 9 degrees Celsius last night. So during the day, it's still pleasant. But when the sun goes down, it quickly cools down. But I think the surprise of the weather is an indication that there are many surprises waiting for us in Tijuana. And despite what I said at the beginning about potentially sketchy feeling around my hotel, I'm going to do my best to show you other sides of Tijuana and to show you whatever good or bad I find about this city. But first, breakfast. Well, you won't believe this, YouTube. I just had a nice conversation with my server, a guy who's been living in Tijuana for the last 4 years. And then a moment later, he just brought me this and said, "This is for you." So I got a free latte to start my day. Pretty cool. I gotta say, my mind is changing about Tijuana already. You know what? It took me a few sips to realize it, but I think there's more than coffee in here. I think there's some rum or tequila or something. Pesos, dollars. Gracias, hermano. It was a good coffee. You put something special in my coffee?
Yeah. Do you like it with that?
Yeah. My friend put a little shot of, I would guess it's probably rum that was in that coffee. A little bit of courage for my video today in Tijuana. And you know, the fact that, without me even asking him to, the server at my breakfast place gave me an alcoholic drink. It gives you an idea of the type of tourist that they often get here in Tijuana. Teatro de la Ciudad, theater of the city. Some interesting architecture in this city. It's now about 11 a.m. The sun is out. The day is warming up. and I'm about to take you to what I think is probably the most famous street in all of Tijuana, Avenida Revolucion, which translates into Revolution Avenue. Speaking of revolution, not to get too political here, but see some signs for Palestine. And in general, one thing that might interest people to know about Tijuana is there's a lot of people living here from all over the world. From what I hear, there's a lot of Colombians, there's a lot of Asians. I wonder if there are people who made long journeys from other countries trying to make it to the United States. They weren't able to, so they only made it as far as the Mexican border. Best prices in town, meds for you. Between the guy at breakfast giving me an alcoholic drink, between the pharmacies advertising meds, you're probably starting to get a feeling of what most people know Tijuana for internationally, and that is a city of sin, you might say. You know, a city for partying and a city for, I mean, to give you an idea, like those pharmacies are openly advertising like steroids and stuff that would be illegal to buy north of the border. So there is some element of medical tourism, people coming down on day trips just to buy certain things that they couldn't in their country. Look at this. Nice leather goods shop. There was more to Tijuana tourism than just the pharmacies. No, but in all seriousness though, I've obviously never been here before. I'm discovering this city along with you. And yeah, I'm really curious to see what it brings. A bit later in this video, I'm going to visit the wall that separates the United States and Mexico. And I'm sure that'll be a powerful experience. I should probably tell you that as soon as I arrived at Tijuana Airport, and I was not expecting this, but as soon as I stepped outside, right across the street is the wall. And I took a picture of it. Someone had written the word empathy on the wall. So I just arrived in Tijuana. This is the airport. And I actually had no idea that I would be right on the border between Mexico and the United States. That is the wall. You can see someone wrote the word empathy on it. And it just reminded me that, whatever our political beliefs are, maybe we can all have a bit of empathy for the people whose lives have been affected by that wall, because those people are in the millions. We're going to talk more about that later, but for the moment, let's, there's a giant tower. There's a giant tower going up above me. It's kind of funny to look at, actually, because there's nothing even close to as tall as that around here. I mean, look. Everything else is like 2 or 3 stories, and then there's this. Now, it is nice to see some new development because, to be honest, the hotel that I'm staying at and a few of the other places I was looking at looked pretty like stuck in the 1970s, which indicated to me, okay, maybe there was a time in the past when Tijuana had more tourism, and for whatever reason it's going through a rougher time these days. Locals can tell me if that's true or not. I'm not saying that to be disrespectful to the people of Tijuana. Like I actually grew up in a Canadian city called Winnipeg, where you could very much say the same thing. Winnipeg was promised to be like one of the great Canadian cities. Like when it was first founded, it had lots of millionaires, it had lots of wealth, they built all these big buildings because they expected it to be like, you know, one of the great cities of North America. But then for the last 50 years, it's just kind of been declining. You could say that about Detroit. You could say that about other places that, you know, had their high day and then started to decline. Could you say that about Tijuana? I don't know. I don't have the context. But when you see a lot of beautiful old buildings that have started to be abandoned, you do have to wonder. Okay, this is cool. Nice little shopping walkway. Oh, this is really nice. Textiles from Oaxaca, the southern states. Wow, look at this. Todos somos migrantes. I think what it's saying is we're all migrants. We all come from somewhere. Let's not forget. Buenas. Smashing Pumpkins, nice. Good band. Another thought just appeared to me. I was kind of joking about the Pharmacies being a place that people buy illegal steroids and stuff like that. But the more I think about it, you know, some of the people come down here could just be average Americans who are buying legal substances which are way too expensive in the United States. I'm sure everyone knows that pharmaceuticals are famously overpriced in the United States. So if someone can come down to Mexico and buy the medical supplies they need to live a good life, you know, to deal with their medical problems for 10 times cheaper. As a caballero with a giant speaker walks by. Anyway, all that to say that, yeah, I think I spoke too soon about the Pharmacies. But even bigger than the giant Pharmacies is the giant arch which hangs above us. I think this is called the Friendship Arch, a sign of goodwill between Mexico and the United States, which is actually just a few blocks that way. I'm pretty sure those hills are the United States of America right there. Yeah, it looks like this road is one of the border crossings. Plaza Stacecilia. Look at this. Wow, what a vibe in this place. Look at this. This is Tijuana, my friends. Boxing gym. But one thing that is noticeably absent is a tourist like me. Like you've been watching the same videos as me, right? We are Buenas. We're 5 minutes from the United States in a tourist city. Gracias. Where is everyone?
Breakfast time.
Oh, I already ate.
No, how about a drink?
Maybe mañana, mañana.
Mira, no, ¿cuál mañana? Ahorita.
Are you
Mira,
YouTuber?
mira.
Yeah, I'm making a video.
Okay.
Hi.
Go in my place. Right
You're-
here.
Pregúntale
Gallo.
cuál es su canal para buscar.
I got margaritas too
¿Qué
for
es
one.
eso? ¿A gallo? ¿A gallo?
Right here in Plaza Santa Cecilia.
Wow.
And
That's a
free
good
tequila
price.
for you, boss.
What's your name in YouTube?
The name is The New Travel.
Daniel Travel.
The New Travel. Uh-huh.
Okay, then have a drink.
You are from Tijuana?
No, I grew up in LA,
Gracias.
but I'm Mexican.
Okay, how do you like it here?
I ain't got no choice because I got deported.
No te gusta Tijuana?
I don't like it, but I don't got no choice.
You want to go back to LA if possible?
No, not no more. I've been out
Yeah.
here 25 years now.
25 years.
Yeah, so I'm used to it.
Wow,
But I
wow.
just come to work every day,
Yeah.
to survive. That's it. Hey, amigos, welcome. Yeah.
What do you miss about the United States?
In-N-Out burgers.
In-N-Out Burgers. Gracias. I'll come back. I'm going to keep walking for my video. What was your name?
Mario.
Mario. Mucho gusto, Mario.
Okay, Super Mario.
Super Mario. You have a good energy, my friend.
Okay.
See you again.
Free tequila for you.
Thank you so much. That's funny. I hope my microphone was able to pick that up okay. Our friend Mario, we just met someone who is working here, who had been deported from the United States 25 years ago, he said. So this obviously wasn't a new change for Mario. But yeah, it just makes you think, doesn't it? Imagine being in that situation where you used to live in the US and now you live so close that you can see it. I just pointed out the hills. That's the United States. It's right there. You know, so close and yet so far, as they say. And I didn't find Mario. That's not someone who I planned to interview. I'm just walking down the street and there's someone. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of stories just like that, I'm sure, in this city. Lots of interesting souvenirs up here. It's worth noting that a lot of the things that Americans might associate with Mexico, like the cowboy boots, the sombrero, that is coming from northern Mexican culture, right? The northern desert states, you know, the caballero with the sombrero riding a horse, that's northern Mexican. You don't really see that around Mexico City or in the south. I mean, Mexico City has its own thing going on. You go to the south, you have more of the indigenous culture, the textiles of Oaxaca and Chiapas. And then when you go to the beaches, I mean, it's completely different culture too. So Mexico is a country with many faces. I am seeing a lot of mariachi bands though here in Tijuana. It feels like mariachi is a big part of the city. And look at this, a pretty little church in front of me. I wasn't planning to take you here, I was just walking, but I think I hear a service, so I may as well take a little peek inside. Look at this. Mexico, of course, remains a very Catholic country, and you see that not only with the beautiful churches across this country, but also some of the things that are being sold. Now, it must be said, the amount of people living rough in Tijuana, by which I mean either living on the streets or looking like they don't know where the next meal's coming from, is probably higher than anywhere I've seen in Mexico. And I've been to at least 20 different cities in Mexico, everywhere from El Ciudad de Mexico, the capital, to Guadalajara, to Monterrey, to I've been to the south. I've been to Morelia in Michoacan. I've been to a lot of different places. It is true that, for example, in Mexico City, I'm sure if I went way out of the tourist zone, there's a lot of people living rough lives. That is for sure. But in terms of being dropped in a city and immediately feeling like this is a place with a lot of poverty, I think Tijuana is pretty high up there. It might be the highest. And so, why is that? I wonder. Well, the only thing I can think is maybe there's a lot of people who are deported from the United States who end up in Tijuana. They either wanted to be in the US or they were in the US and then they were sent back to Mexico with nothing. Keep in mind that some people, we just talked to the guy who spent 25 years living in Los Angeles and then he's deported. So think about it, you're deported to Mexico, but at that point, the United States is the only home you've ever known. It really is a sad situation a lot of people who are deported end up in. They might be in the country of their birth, but it's no longer their country. It's no longer a place that they know. So you can imagine how easy it is for those people to fall into difficult life situations, to end up sleeping on the streets of Tijuana, not knowing what to do next. I point that out not to say bad things about Tijuana, but to bring us back to what the wall said, that message of empathy. Let's have a bit of empathy for our friends who, some of them have had very difficult journeys in their life, which most of us cannot relate to. Look at the lineup for this place. This must be a popular taco spot. Yeah, I'm gonna try it. You know what? I almost walked by because the line looked pretty long, but when in Tijuana, you gotta try a place like this, right? Buenas tardes.
Hola.
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 ¿Es en línea? No. ¿Qué tipo de taco? ¿Solo pastor?
Birria.
Birria.
Birria res y...
Ajá.
¿Cuánto cuesta?
2 birria, por favor.
¿Dos pastor?
No, 2 birria. Sí.
Ok. ¿Everything? ¿Todo?
Con todo.
¿Todo, Charlie?
Gracias, hermano.
Dale.
Whoa. Qué rico. Look at this, my friends. Is the real deal right here, my friends. Oh, qué rico los tacos de Tijuana. Those were enormous. I mean, I only ordered 2, but that probably is about as much as 4 tacos if you're thinking about the normal size tortillas. Another thing I really like about the taco culture in Mexico is how it's a small detail, but I think it says a lot. When you are at a place like that, they serve you your food, you find a place to eat it, and then when you're done, you go and pay. But they have so many people around that they could easily forget about you and you could just eat it and leave if you were dishonest. But nobody does that, everyone pays. It's a system built on honesty. I think it's a small detail that speaks to the community spirit, which is built around the food on the street, which is such an enormous part of Mexican culture, of course. I feel like I'm in a commercial for Coca-Cola right now. Have you been wandering around Tijuana filming YouTube videos? Then experience the taste of Coca-Cola. Okay, my friends, I just called an Uber. We're about to explore another part of Tijuana. Let's go. Welcome, my friends. to the beach. This is the new neighborhood of Tijuana called Playas de Tijuana. Just means the beaches of Tijuana, you know. And funny story, my Uber driver, he had his left turn signal on like for the entire 20-minute ride. And it was making a loud sound too. It was like in the car, it was like ch, 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 like to tell him that he'd forgotten to turn it off. But yeah, he just kept driving with it on the whole time. And then finally he made a turn, and I was thinking, oh, surely he's going to now turn off the signal. But when he made the turn, he just turned it off for a moment, and then when the turn was over, he turned it back on. I can feel the breeze coming off of that water. There's obviously some construction here, but I do see people down below. So they must be redoing this area, building a boardwalk or something. But there's still a beach access somewhere. Now, if you're a tourist who's just looking for some place to sit and have a margarita by the beach, I don't think Tijuana is the spot. Maybe there's some nice cafes up along here somewhere, but in general, the reason I'm coming here is not to show you the beach. The reason I'm coming here is because in the distance, you can begin to see a strange structure extending into the ocean. If you can't see it yet, it'll be visible soon. That is the wall separating Mexico and the United States. You can begin to see it there, stretching out into the ocean. It's really weird to think that for the local kids of Tijuana, I mean, this is like their beach, you know, this is where they hang out. They're just living with that symbol, which has been discussed so many times by so many politicians and has been the subject of so much debate and so much anger and so much sadness. And it's just right there, right behind us, right behind the kids building their sandcastles, the couples drinking their beers and their micheladas. The distance is nothing. I love you. Messages left by Mexicans on this side of the wall. There's actually a second stretch of wall over there, which is why people are allowed to go right up and put their hands through. But I don't see any, like that might just be a military zone on the other side. I don't see any tourists over there. I don't see any people of San Diego hanging out at the beach. But what I do know is that when you look out at the water, the ocean doesn't know what a wall is. The ocean just continues to flow on both sides. You see seagulls flying over top. You see the seagulls. They don't know what a wall is. The sun doesn't know what a wall is. The only one who seems to know what a wall is us humans. We've been building them for thousands of years, keeping each other divided, telling each other that we live over here, you live over there. We're the good ones, you're the bad ones. Something about humans make us think this way. But I've been on both sides of the wall, my friends. I've traveled through Mexico, I've traveled through the United States, and I've met great people on both sides. I'll tell you one thing, I am the only gringo here. Very aware of this fact in this moment because so much of the wall is about racial identity. And if you look at the deportations that's happening in the United States at this moment, I read an internet comment where someone said, yeah, I don't think there's a lot of Irish people in Irish pubs who are getting deported from the United States right now for overstaying their visas. The Mexicans, the Guatemalans, the people from Honduras and El Salvador, who for the most part are being sent back to their homelands. It's hard to overlook the racial element of that. And as this powerful piece of artwork in front of me indicates, showing a heart with both the American and the Mexican flag united together. There are millions of people who identify as both Mexican and American. And it's these people who have seen their communities shook up by the wave of deportations. And I think whatever your political view, whether you're someone who completely disagrees with what's happening and thinks it's the worst thing in modern history, or if you're someone who thinks, well, you know what, we need secure borders, someone needed to do something and Trump's just the one who's finally doing it. Those debates will continue on and on and on until the end of time. But I think as human beings, especially when we're somewhere like this, we can take a moment to acknowledge the fundamental sameness that we all have. The fact that underneath all the politics and all the nonsense that the politicians tell us, we are the same. Most people anywhere in the world are good people. This is true of my country, Canada. This is true of the United States. This is true of Mexico. This is true of the fine people of Tijuana. And coming here to the wall is a powerful reminder. I must say, I do think the city of Tijuana and the government of Mexico could do more to make this a really accessible tourist destination, because obviously the waterfront is a mess right now with the construction. This area is a place that a lot of foreigners like myself would be interested to visit, but I think it has to be built up a little bit more, and it could really be a popular place. As it is, I still recommend coming here, but as you can see, like I'm the only gringo here today. Like I only see Mexicans, and you know there could be Mexican Americans here, of course. But yeah, still a off the beaten path city for most people, Tijuana. You know, you can imagine a world where this boardwalk would be just full of tourists from the United States and all over here in Tijuana, discovering about Mexican culture, trying local foods, buying souvenirs. There's plenty of shops, plenty of restaurants, but the question is, what would it take to make that happen? Well, my friends, I found a coffee shop at last. It's called Noble Cafe. Let's take a little sit and think about Tijuana. Buenas tardes. As I leave this cafe behind, another mostly empty place in what feels like a mostly empty part of Tijuana, I can't help feel that Tijuana is a story of missed potential, a story of a city that could be really fascinating for people to visit, but for various reasons is not quite there. It does feel like something is missing to make it a more popular tourist destination. Godspeed, you Black Emperor. That is a band from Montreal. Cool to see that they're playing a show in Tijuana. Any locals who are into rock music, check them out. cool vibes tonight as the Friday night begins here on Revolution Avenue. I'm actually going to take you to somewhere that this will be a big surprise to many viewers, but everyone from Tijuana knows this. The Cesar salad was actually invented in Tijuana. And if you gave me 50 guesses where the Cesar salad was invented, I would probably guess Italy, the United States. You know, I'd pick all these different cities, but Tijuana would not be high on my list. But it is a fact. And apparently there's a restaurant called Caesar's where it was invented. So as the sun begins to set, let us enjoy a Caesar salad from Hotel Caesar's in downtown Tijuana. Look at this. Wow. Take a look at this place. Wow. Tijuana, you are a city of surprises. Mr. Cesar Cardini.
¿Se los vamos trayendo?
Qué rico. Gracias. Muchas gracias. You know, it's a bit different when the salad just appears in front of you and you don't actually think about the steps to make the dressing and to put everything together. But after watching that, I mean, the Caesar salad is a masterpiece. Look at this thing. Well done, Tijuana. Well done. Well, my friends, what more can be said about Tijuana? In many ways, it's not an easy city. It's not an easy city to live in. It's not an easy city to travel through. And sometimes it's a city that breaks your heart. When you visit the border and you think about all of the human suffering that is caused by this wall that people growing up in Tijuana see every single day of their lives. When you think about the stories of people who ended up in Tijuana, not by choice, but because they were deported by a place they called home, because their life threw them a curveball that they ended up in Tijuana trying to recover from. But one thing that can't be denied is Tijuana is a city with a lot of heart and with surprises waiting around every corner. So thank you to everyone who's watched this video with me. I hope you've enjoyed it. As always, I'm Dan, and I will catch you next time.